Hi, my name is Mark Bylock, whiskey author, and I'm going to tell you how to taste whiskey. Now, if you're drinking whiskey for the pure enjoyment of it, drink it however you want, have it on ice, have it with water, pour it into Coke. I'm not going to get in between you and your whiskey. However, if you do want to taste whiskey in its purest form, whatever kind of whiskey you're tasting, here are some great tips on how to do that. First of all, glassware is super important. The difference between whiskey and something like wine is whiskey is a very volatile drink. It's 40% alcohol. Alcohol is very volatile. A lot of times when you introduce whiskey to somebody, they're going to smell, they're going to like, oh, it smells gross. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of this is they're probably taking a very deep breath, but the second reason has something to do with surface tension. If you have like a nice rocks glass like this, great for cocktails, and you pour in an ounce of whiskey, you're going to have a lot of surface area there. And that means when you lift that glass up to nose it, all that alcohol is just going to spring up into your nose and you'll be like, oh, it just smells like booze. I don't like this. So the first step is to have a proper glass. Now, I say proper, this doesn't have to look like this, but a tulip-shaped glass generally is ideal for tasting whiskey. This is how the person that made your whiskey is likely tasting it before they bottle it. So, you're kind of conforming to the standards of the industry. The second step is to nose your glass before you pour it. Now, I don't do this step if I'm just enjoying a glass of whiskey for myself. However, if I'm doing a whiskey competition, I do always nose the glass. A couple of reasons for this is wherever that glass is stored, that location will have a scent and it'll impart those flavors on the glass. I do have a cabinet that's wooden and it has very oaky notes. So when I pull out a glass from that cabinet and I nose it, I can smell the cabinet. In fact, I've got another drawer here where I store coffee cups, and I was using it to pour sake once, and the sake smelled off. It smelled ratchet, and the reason for that was the cabinet itself was newly made, and it still had a lot of kind of oak and paint flavors. So as I nosed the glass, it smelled weird, and whatever I poured in there was automatically biased. So nose your glass when it's empty, and if it smells like nothing, then you're doing a great job. If it smells like something, it's probably not a good thing. People say don't put these glasses in a dishwasher. I don't agree with that, but I do think you should maintain your dishwasher in such a way that it doesn't impart any odor on your glasses. Though I'm not a dishwasher expert, so I don't know what that means. However, usually that means monthly maintenance and that kind of thing. Step number 3. This is important. We're very eager to drink whiskey. I know I am, but when you first pour the whiskey, again, it's very volatile. You put that glass down, you let it sit. Some people say let it sit for 20 seconds. Some people say let it sit for a minute. But the same rules apply. You pour a whiskey into a glass, it's volatile. It's going to have a lot going on. If you nose it right that moment, it's probably going to smell a little harsh. And so if you want to smell that whiskey at its best, you should place it down and give it a rest. Now, if you're impatient like me, just go blow into the glass, and that might get rid of a lot of the volatile molecules and then allow you to nose it. The next step is how to nose the glass once the whiskey's poured, and this one's kind of easy. All you really want to do is open your lips, part your lips, and breathe through your mouth with the glass near your nose. Now, this is going to naturally take in some vapor from the glass and it's going to allow you to get those notes. Now, I know you love the tasting notes. I know when we say apricot and coffee and caramel and red apple, we get those notes when we nose that whiskey because we take our time with it and we literally take our nose to it and just breathe through our mouth and then start writing down the notes that come to mind. And you might think those notes are strange, but they're not really that strange. Whiskey is aged in oak, which is plant. And whiskey is made of grain, which is also plant. So a lot of the parts that we taste in the whiskey, that we nose in the whiskey, it all comes from the same source. So saying it's green apple, that's not wrong. And saying it notes like coffee is not wrong either. Saying it notes like chocolate is great because it's certain flavors evolve in the glass to give us those notes. I haven't actually told you how to taste the whiskey, but I think you could probably figure that part out. But again, key points is proper glassware, clean glassware, making sure you know that there's no biasing flavors in the glass, and then just taking your time with it and nosing it very slowly. Hope that helps. Cheers.